So let's talk, right? Let's talk. So for some reason or another, I don't know what it is, but people believe that I'm just I don't know, a jerk and I just talk about people of color only and specifically, and that's why I stay and hovering in my conversations. You're so wrong. Oh, you're so wrong. See, I don't even like. I'm gonna turn this light down a little bit. It's a little too bright, right, guys? I have never. Yeah, that's better. I have never been a guy that has ever really like arguing with my own people. I'm totally opposite of that. I am so much the opposite of that. I have never been a guy that takes any type of single solitary fucking, I don't even know what you want to say, enjoyment in arguing with my own, specifically black and Latino people. I just don't. And so let me give you a quick recap of whatever you guys are just tuning in. If not, just go watch that last video that I posted up or whatever, you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about. I wish I could have caught it. Honestly and truthfully, hold on, let me share this first, guys. Let me share this. Get some people in here before I start talking about this. Let me get some people in here before I start talking about this. And guys, if you're wondering what pop psychology is, I left a definition in the community section. You might have to scroll just a little bit because I'm now realizing when I'm sharing, I'm live with people or whatever. Sometimes it gets in the way. Other than that, I want to welcome y'all all here, black, white, Latin alike, or whatever. And know that this discussion is not about a racist or racial disparity or anything like that. It's just a real question of here in this city, and well, I even say the state about what you have ascertained previously or currently. I have been one of the lucky people that have been in a great situation in life, and I worked for a record company for almost 17 years. And within my tenure at that record company, up until the time I got fired, I have been around everywhere in the USA at least two times, three times over at minimum, 10 times over at max. Okay. So I've been a lot of places. I've stayed in some of the nicest places you could think of, the Clevelander, the W, Fountain Blue, um, what is George? This is California. I've stayed at a lot of nice places. So don't make no mistake about it, right? And so a lot of those times when I was coming back from the places, I would come back home to Connecticut or whatever the case may be. I lived by the beach. I lived pretty fucking nice. And I had a contingency of white boys that were just like the homeboys that you just saw outside. I grew up around motherfuckers like that. You know what I mean? Cocksucker wannabe motherfuckers that really don't have much going on. And they try to pretend to people and pretend that they have a lot going on. This is usually what you call an accomplished with a unaccomplished white man, plus we like to call them here in Connecticut. And so how I knew I was talking to an unaccomplished white man is because the bosses, they don't even go out of their way to do shit like that, let alone lie. So let me just regroup and tell you guys what happened just a few minutes ago. So there's a backyard area. I don't smoke in my place. I never do that because of kids and stuff here. You understand? Plus, it just leaves a nasty smell. Yellow stains get on the wall eventually. It's a bad deal. So I've been accustomed for a long time now to going outside and smoke because I do it at multiple places I've lived at. So I go outside and I go to smoke. And as you guys can see in that last video, our backyard area has been redone. And I know the gentleman that did it. You understand? He was the same gentleman that changed the locks on my door, if you guys have seen that video. So I know this gentleman. And so he redid the whole backyard, put down gravel. And one of the other things he did was he fixed the fence. He rebuilt totally the fence, panel by panel. I watched this man. I saw him when he was tearing it down. We had a discussion about it. It and this gentleman is Latino, so I know, you know what I'm saying. This is part of half of my people here, and so when you saw that white boy right there, he pulled up, got out the car. He saw me turn around because I always turn around. I don't like to look at the other complex or whatever. It's too many people over there. It's not my thing. So I turned my back to him, and I guess he thought I was turning my back because I was suspicious of doing something. But mind you, if you see the video, I was smoking a cigarette. Even if I was smoking a cigarette, what the fuck business is of yours? It's not on your property. So that's the first point you out of the line. You understand what I'm saying? You never try to relegate or delegate to somebody else on their property. You understand what I'm saying? That right there already alone let me know that he wasn't from Connecticut. You understand? So stay with me. So he stands up and elevates himself in the air. So he's standing at a position on top of this trailer where it looks like he has to look down to me. You understand what I'm saying? So he feels like he is upward from me, looking down from me. No, I can tell you're a short motherfucker and you're weak. That's the first thing. I can tell by your voice you're weak. You understand what I'm saying? But I'm letting you talk. So he busts up his voice and says, "Excuse me, hello." I turn around to him, I say, "Hey, how you doing?" Then I turn back around, start smoking my cigarette. This is another way I know you're not from Connecticut, because usually when we do that, we say hello, whatever. You turn your back after that, that means I don't feel it going to carry on the conversation. He persisted with the conversation like a Karen would, but this is the Brad, but what's called Karen. He persists with the conversation, and at this point, what he's attempting to do, y'all should learn something from this, because I'm trying to teach you how to deal with white men. If you watch the video, you'll see what I'm talking about. This is how you have to deal with them. You cannot argue with a white man like you argue with a Negro or a Latino or even poor white trash. This elk white man honestly and truthfully believes, even though he's really just the help, he really believes that he is in some type of position based on articulation and the way he feels within his own personal bravado. This is the difference that I'm trying to tell you. A lot of you sisters is out here trying to get a white man. Y'all should especially pay attention here, okay? Because I grew up around these motherfuckers. I know how they are. And that's why I was able to handle that the way I handled it so quickly. And as you saw, his bitch ass took off. Did he or did he not? So listen to me. So this motherfucker proceeds to start then questioning me and talking to me. And I said, "Well, can I help you?" He says to me, "Oh, I'm just," and this is where he fucked up. You know what? You know what? You know when what's that movie called? What's that movie? Minister Saturday Night. You know you done fucked up, right? This is where he fucked up at, and this is where y'all miss out a lot of times. Y'all think because these motherfuckers have a white face, they're honest and they're truthful and this square dealing. No, these are some of the most atrocious motherfuckers in the world, and y'all doing y'all bidding for it, i.e., Candace Owens. So pay attention. This motherfucker said to me, and I want to quote this, and I want to reiterate this one more time. I was standing outside smoking a cigarette when I was talking to the gentleman that actually did the work and replaced the whole fence step by step, panel by his fucking self. I know this guy. This guy's the same guy that changed my life. He's a good guy, all right? Let me tell you something. Not only is this man Latino, but it was almost insulting how this man projected his conversation, which also got me kind of flustered. He said, "Yeah, I just wanted to see if my guys had fixed and put this fence together correctly." And as soon as he said that shit, I said, "Oh, this motherfucker lying." So I called him out for what he was. And I called him a liar. And you'll hear me in the latter part call him a liar again. I said, "Now, Chris," I said, "What's your name?" He said, "Chris." I said, "Chris, you just told a fucking lie." And I said it just like that. I said, "Chris, you just told a fucking lie." You just told a fucking lie. What do you want me to tell you? Oh, you're doing a great job. You're a fucking liar. Which even more reiterates and points me to the direction that you the fucking help. Trying to pretend like you the boss. No, the boss sent you down here. You the help. You understand what I'm saying? It's like being at McDonald's. There's the franchise owner, there's the manager, and then there's the employees. Chris was one of their fucking employees. He was the help, trying to pretend like he was a boss, and he thought he was a boss based on the fact of color alone. This is the funny part about it. So I reiterate to Chris and I say three things. I say, one, Chris, I'm been in Connecticut probably longer than you ever been here in your life. You understand what I'm saying? But that's not even a whole. I have a history in Connecticut. It spans over 25 fucking years. All right, this is my home. Second thing is, the second thing you said was a complete lie. You said your boys put the fence up. Not only is that insult to the guy that I know to put the fence up by his fucking self, who dragged in the gravel and everything else to put out there. It's fucking beautiful out there. He did it all by himself. So it was insulting for you to come up here and say, "Oh, my guys, that your guys ain't do shit." And I don't know who the fuck your guys are. The guys back there that's parking those trucks back there fucking every night or whatever, acting like they going to work. And really the only thing they doing is riding around the city and stopping at the liquor store, and parking the truck and getting out and drinking all fucking day, then come back home, act like they was working all day. You talking about them guys? Those are guys you talking about? You talking about the guys that sit over in the fucking park and get drunk and pass the fuck out and shit. You talking about those your guys? Get the fuck out of here. You go blow smoke up somebody else's ass, Chris. You ain't gonna blow smoke up mine. That motherfucker ain't from Connecticut. That was the point. That motherfucker's from Rochester, New York, something like that, or whatever, whatever. These are the motherfuckers that pretend they live like the people in Old Greenwich over here. You understand what I'm saying? They pretend they live like the people in Old Greenwich. These are mildly successful or under successful or moderately toned white folks. All right. They ain't got shit going on. And they know by the time they get around somebody in Greenwich, by the time they get around somebody in Fairfield, by the time they get around somebody in New Haven County, that realization will come to forest itself that you don't make no motherfucking money. Nigga, you are talking to somebody that knows millionaire niggas, both black and Latino. If you don't get your basic white boy ass the fuck out of my face with your mimicked ass fucking assimilated voice, before I fucking have your ass in the courtroom, Chris. And you look like you can't afford it. I could tell by that bullshit ass vest you was wearing you couldn't afford it. So stop playing around, Chris. And there's a ton of these white boys that run around that actually the motherfucking errand boys and actually the motherfucking nobodies of the company and try to pretend like there's somebody other than what the fuck they are. And y'all motherfuckers, y'all sit back and y'all hear to these motherfuckers. I'm more successful than Chris. That's the point. I'm more successful than Chris. I've had more experiences than you. I've traveled more than you. I know more people than you. You understand what I'm saying? Especially if we're talking about superstars in the music business. What fucking, name me one superstar you know. Name me one person that's a superstar you know. I'm on camera as of recently with superstars. So what are we talking about, Chris? Oh, I get it. It's your pride. See, white male pride amongst unaccomplished white man's runs high. See, in Chris's world, he's big shit. You understand what I'm saying? He goes to his friends, brags to his friends, and da 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 da. But in the court of reality, Chris ain't shit. He's an errand boy, white boy. You understand what I'm saying? Million, a dozen of them. Million, a dozen of them. So for some reason or another, you guys got Pacific that I just talk to black people. Now I talk to anybody that fucking pisses me off like that. Fuck you. You thought it was just you guys? Nah. Anybody pisses me off, I talk to them like that. Whatever. You just the black version of it, or the white version of it, or the Latin version of it, or the Middle Eastern version. No, any motherfucker that does some dumb shit you unjustified for it or whatever. See what Chris was trying to do? Chris was trying to punk me. Chris was like trying to let me know and be aware of his presence. So I would know I'm Chris. And you better watch for me. And I run things. Chris, you don't run shit. And I'll beat your ass, Chris, 2 times to let you know that you won't do shit. You ever had your ass whooped, Chris? And you know what I'm going to tell the police, Chris? Like today, I could have whooped your ass. This man is menacing me at this moment, officer. And I felt in threat he would not retreat. And in the state of Connecticut, you have a duty to retreat. Now, I had a duty to walk back to my door because Chris was menacing. But Chris, if you would have ran up on me in public somewhere and then you try to play that little trope at the end, well, I just thought you were a nicer person. Well, you made the wrong presumption, motherfucker. I'm not a nice person like that. I'm a nice person with people I get to meet, people I condone for myself, and I say, okay, I like that person's character, or I can see that this is a real man or this is a real woman. Those are people I like. And most real motherfuckers that I get along with, or ultimately, I've had motherfuckers I couldn't stand when I met them, and they end up being my best motherfucking friend. And that's just what I found in my experiences in life. This is just how real motherfuckers connect. But then I've also learned that I learned this probably in my late 20s. There's a whole there's 62% of the population white Americans, right? So if you honestly and truthfully believe that every last one of these motherfuckers ain't it, because I've seen them in debt, I've seen them selling their homes, I've seen them selling cars, I've seen motherfuckers pawn shut at the pawn shop or whatever, whatever. And yeah, sure, they'll have this attitude along with them, like, oh yeah, everything's cheapy creeper, and I'm still white, blah, blah, blah. But you poor bitch. You a poor white motherfucker. know a poor white motherfucker when I see one. Are you kidding me? I lived in the shoreline of Connecticut all my motherfucking adult life and my late teens. I've been here. We had a fucking boat dock across the street from our old fucking condo. You understand what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. You serious? And over there, it was only a certain type of elk or white boy that lived in our neighborhood. I knew that certain white boys that couldn't afford to live in the neighborhood that I was living in that was fucking predominantly white. Oh! You should have saw the kickback I got from them motherfuckers when they would drop me off on the bars. They'd be like, you live down here? You live down here? Or when I lived at the other location, you live over here? How you live over here? Used to ask. I had a broad come to my house one time, and she said, "Who apartment is this?" I said, "It's my place, and this ain't an apartment. This is a condo. This nice. Well, this like white people live here." I said, "It look like white people live here. The fuck?" You understand what I'm saying? So a lot of it comes on the reason they approach you, these brads and these Karens, is because your adoration and your centered assertion of your personality and assimilation of your personality to be like them. When many times you motherfuckers are mimicking the fucking help. And I finally got to say it the way I wanted to say it. You niggas are not mimicking white bosses, y'all mimicking white helpers. The motherfucker that's the receptionist. You know what I'm saying? Or you mimicking the motherfucker that's the I don't know, the nigga that's the assistant that goes down and gets quotes for the boss. You're mimicking him. Of course he's gotta talk on. Listen, anywhere in the sales world, okay, and I know this from being in marketing. Anywhere in the sales world where you have an employee, especially a junior employee, novice employee that's first coming in, they're all gonna have the same octave and voice. Oh, hi, how are you doing? Oh my God, that's so crazy. And what we have is we want to facilitate the facilitation of military and it sounds like they half in high school still. This is how these motherfuckers talk. You understand what I'm saying? So that fake ass howdy doody motherfuckers. Listen, all the people that I've ever met that lived in my neighborhood, I lived in Zone 4, okay, in Niantic and in London. And all the people that I lived around that were, and you can ask anybody, including my homeboy that was on here yesterday, so he knows I'm telling the truth. I lived where I literally walked across the street from my house, and there's a mile of beach that of shoreline. Okay, you people just swim in the water, some shit like that or whatever. There's boat docks everywhere. There's multiple docks. It's not just one dock. There's multiple docks. Okay, all the way down to a larger beach. Okay, and there's actually two larger beaches, and I'm not gonna say what those larger beaches are, but there's two larger beaches. That's where I lived at for a culmination of probably like what 8 years. Then I lived a block over from that, what 7, 8, 9 years prior to that. You understand what I'm saying? So moving from where I was a graduation to where I was living at. But even where I was living at, the average motherfucker would have been like, oh shit, white or black. You understand what I'm saying? So that's why I'm gonna put y'all in perspective up. So many of these people that used to drop me off in the bar, or if I was too drunk, or I would catch a cab, and so they would mention it too. They'd be like, "Oh, this is a nice neighborhood. How do you live down here?" It was always a question of how I lived down there. Then I would have to, I would just be like, "Ah, I bust my ass, man." That would always be my answer. But one thing I always noticed about my neighbors were some of the most regularly spoken people you've ever meet in your fucking life. And most of the time, they think people that live in the neighborhood would be overly articulated. No, these were multi-millionaires. If y'all guys know Casey Neistat, y'all know who Casey Neistat is? Casey Neistat is like a big time blog. He's been on People Magazine, GQ, all that shit. I lived on the same street that Casey Neistat grew up at. I went to his parents, even as of recently, during when the pandemic was, and I went back to Connecticut from New York. When I went out there, I was going to a place called Muddy Waters. That's actually Casey Neistat's parents' restaurant. Okay. So he's a local hometown boy there. Don from In Vogue. She's also from New London, Connecticut. Cassie, the guys that you guys know from Diddy and everything like that. She's also from New London. I know her and her brother Roderick. Good people. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Roderick. I ain't seen you in a while, boy, but be good. So these are people I know. You understand what I'm saying? So if that gives you any indication, even Casey's parents, Casey Neistat, I'm talking about, just look him up. Casey Neistat. It's spelled Neistat. Casey Neistat. We live on the same fucking street. All right. So I lived in the most opulent area there was in my area. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. So there used to be white boys that would come in there and they would do the shrubberies, they would do construction add-ons and shit like that or whatever, whatever. And they would see my black ass walking around the neighborhood and they would think it was funny to me because my neighbors would be cool as shit with me. Like I got along with all my neighbors. I had a neighbor that worked at Yale University. I had another neighbor that worked at Plum Island. I still know him to this day. Still follow him on certain social media. Still speak to some of them. You know what I'm saying? So it's no Chuck here. I wish my homeboy was here. He would tell you the same fucking thing that was here yesterday. So y'all know what I don't be bullshitting. I don't be lying. I don't take no comfort in lying. I hate liars, so that's why I don't lie. You know what I'm saying? We all tell little white lies, but I'm talking about exaggeration lies. That's not me. Never been me. So I'm sitting here and I'll be walking through the neighborhood or I'm going somewhere to the store or something like that, whatever. And I would have construction workers and people that were mowing the lawn and shit. They would be staring at me like I didn't belong over there. No, motherfucker, you don't belong over here. Because after all this shit is done and you finish doing your job, you're leaving here. That's what they didn't contemplate. And it was all out of, I know it was. It was all out of ambition because they would have to live where I lived at. But the majority of the time, these people were poor whites that didn't have the education, didn't have the fucking advantage or whatever the case may be or whatever. And that's when it stuck to me. And I said to myself, and this was in my, I'm going to say mid 20s, late 20s. I said, and I knew this already. I just didn't know how to correlate it together. I said, this is the difference between poor white trash and opulent, smart whites. The whites in my neighborhood, I'm going to speak for at least 80% of them that I knew. And I swear to God, this is true. And this was in both neighborhoods. And my other neighborhood, like I said, was one block over. I lived in Gold Harbor condominiums, and I moved from Gold Harbor condominiums over to the next block on Pequot. So all my neighbors that I had, one thing I will say is none of them ever acted racist towards me. None of them ever acted funny style. Even if they felt like that and were some of the nicest people in the world. I had people bring me fucking food on Christmas Day and Thanksgiving. And this is a fucking fact. I mean, plates of food. Hey, we had some extra food left over. You want it? Or hey, we were thinking you wanted a plate. Da, 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 da. This is my neighbors. You know what I'm saying? Say, well, yo, we had a lot of food. Figured you wanted a plate, and they weren't just dropping it off to me. They dropped it off to 3 or 4 other neighbors too. This is what they did, and so I got kind of accustomed to that, used to that, whatever. But when I saw these Brads like Chris that hopped over the fence right there, oh, that was one of them try hard motherfuckers. He trying to be inclusive in a lifestyle that don't include him. He don't understand that yet. You know, boy, you born and bred to be the help. That's what you don't understand. And you think because you white, it can't be so. Oh no, there's been many notable motherfucker white motherfuckers. You know, Sherlock Holmes had Watson. Dr. Frankenstein had Eagle. You understand what I'm saying? You gotta understand what I mean. Dr. Frankenstein had Eagle. There's always been a side white man that has played accomplice versus hero. You understand? But the problem with white culture is every white man wants to play hero collectively. And that's kind of the problem with all black culture. The same thing that exists in black culture and Latin culture exists in white male culture too. So I think it's just a white male. I think it's just a male thing, not a white male thing, where there's bravado. You understand? And each man wants to stand on top of the next. Chris, if you have to stand on a motherfucking ramp to talk to me, nigga, you too short and you don't fit in the fray with me. And you putting yourself in danger. If you gotta stand, I don't have to, I could have stood over that fence and talked to him and looked at him, and I was still standing down and I didn't even have to look up. That's my point. I stand at 6'2". I'm a tall motherfucker. You know what I mean? So I'm like 6'2" and a half, almost 6'3". But I'm looking at this motherfucker and I'm just like, yo, I can't punch you because if I punch you, it's gonna look like, you know what I mean? I'm picking on the weak. I can't beat you up because so I have to play a mind game with you. And I'm not saying don't do this mind psychological swap with these motherfuckers like this all the time. Sometimes you do have to punch one of these motherfuckers in the face for them to get the point. Usually that's the poor white trash batch of them. You understand? Which makes up the majority of their population. Y'all do so much of a PR stunt, white culture, to try to keep it like you are the only motherfuckers on this earth to be patterned after. Well, half of the world's billionaires don't come from Ireland, France, or Germany. They come from fucking Africa in general, excuse me, but mostly from South Africa, you know? So you're a little bit behind, boys. Let's just say that. And this whole trajectory in this PR campaign you have to protect white fucking whatever it is failing. Don't you see that? It's failing, you know? So now they sequester themselves to now dating every culture that's outside their cultures, women, to emphatically raise a child that phenotypically looks black, phenotypically looks Latin, phenotypically looks Asian, etc., 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 but with all their tenets of their culture. It's some real warped shit. I don't know why more people don't see it going on, but hey, that's for you to find out, I guess, or whatever, whatever. One day you're gonna find out these kids, these byproducts, are gonna be more against your kids and have the same face as your kids versus a white man. That's the trick right there. It's a long haul trick. You never, white people have been very strategic throughout the ages. Even if you talk about the culmination of the Illuminati and what their plans were, they've been very strategic and long worn form plans. You understand? For example, Adam Weishaupt, who first introduced the French army when he was captured to the plans of the Illuminati, the secret society or whatever, whatever, as the story is told. Um, these people had planned this for the next 200 years. You understand what I'm saying? These are slow grind plans to unwind and execute. These are not fast. Most plans of this gauge don't expand within a couple of minutes. They take years, if not decades. Same thing goes for what they call the white replacement theory. These motherfuckers are running scared, bro. Trust me when I tell you. You understand? So I know an unaccomplished white man versus an unaccomplished white man versus an accomplished white man. Why do I know that? Because I lived in a neighborhood with accomplished white men. And accomplished white men don't talk like that, like Chris was talking. Wannabe white boys talk like that. Now, the reason they talk like this, and what I found, and especially because Chris sounded like he's around about late 20s, maybe 30s or whatever, whatever. Chris felt like that he should take lead and I should follow. Well, I'm sorry, Chris. In my world, in the world that I come from, in the world that I worked in, you're a fucking loser. And you don't see it that way. I mean, Chris, would you walk in the same room as Barack Obama, ex-president, and say you're on the same equate scale because you're white? No. And even if that wasn't your intentions, Chris, you look like a pompous asshole. And you look like a pompous asshole that wasn't from Connecticut. And that's the problem. I don't like when you get people, because see, when you're in New York, you have to carry yourself a certain way. If you're unfamiliar with New York or never been in New York, you don't know this. You understand? Before I made my way to Connecticut, I was in New York. We got brought up from down south down there, and we were in New York, and I spent a lot of time in New York. Did 2 years of school in New York or whatever, whatever, whatever before I came, what I'm saying, moved on. But the point I'm getting at is this: you have to carry yourself differently in New York, and you have to I don't know, acquiesce to that. It's just like it's fighting when in Greek, when in Rome, act as the Romans or carry yourself as the Romans or blend in if you have to, whatever the case may be. I don't have to blend. This is my natural personality. I'm a tri-state kid. That's what I am. So, but I know when somebody ain't from Connecticut, and I know them New Rochelle, the Mamarock, them Larchmont motherfuckers down there. You Westchester County motherfuckers. That these are counties outside of Westchester, like far in Westchester County, that try to pretend like they're on a how can I say it? They're on the cusp of the money, but they don't live actually where the money is. Let's put it that way. So these are white folks pretending that they other rich white folks, but around minorities they seem like rich folks because if you've never been around these type of people you wouldn't know how to call them out. But if they were in a crowd of other white people will be like, what is this poor bitch doing here? And trust me, I've heard it. I've been to multiple weddings, multiple funerals, multiple celebrations, birthdays, Christmases, or whatever, where the many of Italian, Greek, and Jewish people. And let me tell you, and regular white people, and let me tell you, yes, they do. They will sit around and be like, "Why is this poor bitch here? What's she gonna steal? Watch it before she steals everything. You know she's in debt right now." They will sit around and talk about each other like that. And they will have a scale of where they measure each other. And oh, she's at that community college again. They'll say shit like that. Like I'm paraphrasing here and there a little bit, and some of it's dead on. But I heard it with my own 2 ears, and I just sit there and I listen to the shit. And I'd be like, well, in a way, I can understand why niggas just the way they are, because basically they mimicking who you are. But the problem is, a lot of African Americans, you're not mimicking the bosses. Like you're not mimicking Jeff Bezos and his plan, how he rolls out, how he's philanthropic. You're not mimicking Elon Musk. You're mimicking the help. Joe such and such, who made it the third tier and co-chairman of a fucking water company or some shit like that. Or most so and so that's such and such in sales for some company in Dubai or something like that. And you're like, you don't even have partnership. You don't even have any stock options or nothing. You just part of the company, and however long the company lasts. In these times with innovation being so quick, usually they're around about 3 or 4 years. Then you off looking for another job, and none of that money you made you saved. That's the way the game go. I just had to realize the other day there will be no more me, or very few of people like me that will be able to say they were with a company for 17 years. I was with that company since I was a kid. I was what was I, 2021 when I got with them? So I was like 2021 when I got with Bad Boy. You know what I'm saying? I was a kid. So 17 years later, well, actually 20 years later now, here we are. You understand what I'm saying? So I want you to understand something, Black and Latin people, very clearly. Many of you have never, and I say this again, and I don't say this to insult you, but I want you to listen to this in reference to that last video that I put up or whatever, whatever. And Chris, you made great material if you see this, buddy. Salute to you for being a dickhead, arrogant, narcissist prick that you are, you prude fucking wannabe fuck. Let me explain something to you. That white man came up to me and lied. And he said, and this is why I treated him the way I treated him. See, if he would have just said hello and that was it, that would have been cool. Hey, how you doing? Hey, how you doing? That's how men do. Chris tried to put me in a bond where he tried to punk me, and he thought he could psychologically torque me. And he did this based off an effort that he's put ahead before, and it's worked with him when he's done it with other minorities. This is called being a model minority. You ever heard of the term? They used the term for Asians at one time, model Asian. And they did this in California when the Japanese and the Chinese first arrived over there. And believe it or not, the way they found their way out of that anarchy was to make Chinese food, serve it to people, make money on their own, and they built their own corporation around that. But the point I'm getting at is they called them the model American, the model Asian, the model minority. And it was, depending on where you're at, there's a different term to it, but that's what it says, the model minority. And that means that you sit around and you do what you're told. You don't do anything. You don't ask any questions. You don't do anything like that. But what they leave out the equation is this also exists in white culture itself. Matter of fact, it gets its fucking genesis from white culture. See, they never talk about in white culture how there was indentured servants. Okay, a proper example of that is in the movie 12 Years as a Slave, and the character that you see Brad Pitt play, who's also a slave and working along with the slaves in the movie, and it amply says he's a slave in it. The only difference is he's an indentured servant versus somebody that got purchased. You understand what I'm saying? Indentured servitude means you went to there for service and you were under that servitude. Your job duty was fulfilled, and then you renegotiate and leave or whatever the case may be. With that being said, the model minority thing has lasted a long time, but white people are the nucleus of it because that character that Bad Pitt played in 12 Years as a Slave was a perfect example of just such. See, they had tears in white culture and they still do. And I'm going to share that thing from the woman at the university out there that gave, and it's not that woman that you guys are talking about with the glasses. This is a different woman. and she breaks down the class tiers. And she's a white woman. She breaks down the class tiers that have existed within the white paradigm of culture for a very long time. And she goes through the crackers and the poor white trash and everything else you can think of. They're tiers of how they exist in society. Some people may want to hear this, some people may not. But I implore those that have never lived around, and I will say this again: if you have never lived around whites in your whole entire adolescent life, and you don't come into contact them fully head on until you are an adult, everything that you are doing from that point when you first make contact them with them an adult, you are making presumptions and assumptions because you do not know these people. You understand what I'm saying? I don't fully know them for everything they are, but I know more than you do because I've been around them since I was a fucking kid. You understand what I'm saying? I'm talking about a young kid. I'm not talking about 15, 16. I'm talking about since I was like 7, 8, 9 years old. I've always been saturated around white kids. I partied at their homes. I mean, not party, but went to their homes for sleepovers and shit like that. My friend Sterling Turner, I used to go fucking swimming at his house. His dad was a lawyer. I had another friend named Hunter Weichel. His dad was a firefighter. I used to go to his house for cookouts, birthday parties, every fucking thing, spend the night, everything over there. You know what I'm saying? Hunter and Pierce Weichel. I grew up around these kids. So I know how they are. I know their weaknesses. I know how to stab them when I want to stab them, all that shit. When a lot of you don't. And then instead of listening and be like, all right, well, since this nigga dead, let me see what I can do, get the head up. Let me see what he talking about, whatever. They be like, oh, that ain't what I want to hear. I'm logging off. He ain't part of the culture. Lord, 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 shuck, 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 ducky, ducky, ducky. That's what y'all niggas do. Listen. I'm trying to teach y'all something. Y'all don't want to give me cash. I'm trying to teach y'all some shit. And I'm gonna clip the video and I'm gonna put it up and I'm gonna throw a clip of it in here so you guys can see. I'll clip it up or whatever so y'all can see what happened. Within their own white culture, they have men that have always tried to succeed and they've always failed. They've had some that have succeeded and they become bosses and they hire motherfuckers, which are to help, what you saw as Chris was. There's a perfect another example of this in the movie Django Unchained when they're walking up the stairs. Y'all remember this? When they're walking up the stairs and it's at the Cleopatra house. That was the house where they had the Mandingo fights. And he said, some would say I was raised to be Calvin's lawyer. And then Django, which is Jamie Foxx character, some would say you almost a nigga. Some would say you was a nigga. That was what Chris was. Chris was a white nigga. He didn't know. And there's been many of white men throughout history. They don't realize you're a white nigga. You don't get it, do you? You just don't get it. You poor white trash, boy. I want to be. I could be, possibly, maybe. But not right now, be. And I met a million white boys like you in my lifetime. And I've taken anybody that know me for a long time, know I take pride in chopping down white men that are cocky. Oh, I love that shit right there. I can't wait for the day when I could just say before, you know what I'm saying? When all this is said and done, because y'all gonna see me pop off again with or without your support monetarily. If you like the support, you can hit up the Cash App right now. Link is in the description box. $STRINGERBELL80. If you really care about your bro. But I can't wait to tell a white boy one day, and get the fuck out of my office. And I want to tell a motherfucker that so bad, get the fuck out of my office. Oh, that's some beautiful words to say right there. To get the fuck out of my office. That's some beautiful shit right there to say. You don't know the fucking gratitude you have in life until you mutter those motherfucking words right there. Get the fuck out of my office. I heard that shit probably in the course of probably 20 something fucking times being in the music industry from various different people. Like, get the fuck out of my office. That's some powerful shit when you hear that shit right there. I'm tell you. If you ain't never said, just go into your room right now and just look in the mirror and be like, get the fuck out of my office. I want to be able to do that. You know what I mean? It's a beautiful feeling. I want to tell a white boy like Chris that shit. And if I had to make a guess, Chris has probably been told that before. Now, let me tell you where the nucleus of a lot of this shit comes from in this new wave of psychology that a lot of these unaccomplished white men have nowadays. It comes from something called pop psychology. And it's not very new. It's actually kind of old. And the way I came about this was really, 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 really rather odd. I was talking to my aunt. I was talking to my aunt. My aunt happened to call me out of the blue, and we was talking, and she's like, I see a lot of pop psychology out here. And I said, yo, what the fuck did you just say again? I ain't say it like that, but I said in my head, what the fuck you just say again? And she said, I see a lot of pop psychology out here being on display. Now, if you're not familiar with pop psychology, it's been here before, it was practiced before. The term goes all the way back to the fucking 80s, all right? Before many of y'all were born. And I was like fucking just kicking out of diapers, you know what I'm saying? Like literally. But the term pop psychology goes basically with anti-forms of views of modern psychology. And its tenets and base are based in basically a pseudoscience or pseudopsychology, if you ask me. Meaning, if you don't know what that means, it's a window of basically a pseudoscience or pseudopsychology, meaning something that's off branch from the original terms that are used and whatever. Basically, anything to conflict, combat, or whatever the normal terms or terminologies that you would see in the DCM and things like that. And so where these pop cultures references come from, excuse me, pop psychology references come from, is basically what people trying to deal with their messes in their mind. And so you have different people that are involved in the Caroline Leaf. Y'all can look her up. And a couple other people that are involved. Mark, I forgot what his name is. He's another one. He was kind of like at the helm of the shit back in like the 90s, mid 90s, early 90s or whatever. This pipe psychology shit is equivalent to this conversation. And I've never heard any of you guys have this conversation, so I'm gonna have a conversation for you. Pop psychology has reinvented itself and returned. It was here previously, but now it's returned in the form of the internet. Before it was carried along by little closed room conversations, conversations that were held in magazines, and then triumphed and the lack of the internet left them confined to certain groups that shared those same views, and you had to search those groups out to find them and then join into this pop psychology time of form of thinking. But it basically pop psychology features a lot of tenets. Like, okay, for example, um, they put a long stress on intelligence, and they tell people that a certain elks of intelligent or whatever, you shouldn't be around these people if they're not this intelligent, or you shouldn't date this type of person if they're not intelligent as you or successful as you or blah blah blah. Any of that shit sound familiar? Sound almost kind of like a lot of the shit you hear now on the new on the internet, right? Well, even though it's on the internet right now, what I'm trying to tell you is these ideas are resurfacing, and they're all forming to get the nucleus and genesis from something that's called pop psychology. Now, I haven't heard one motherfucker talk about this yet. So if I see it up on your channel or I see you mentioning it, bitch, you a fraud because you watching me and you ain't donating to me. And this also go for a lot of you niggas that I share y'all podcasts or whatever. You motherfuckers see I got especially one particular motherfucker. Don't you be fake now. Don't you be fake now. All right? Don't be fucking fake now. I heard you say some shit on your podcast, and I respect you. I give you a hint. I've been following you for fucking 11 years. Don't get fucking fake now. You said I would, if I see you put up a product or something, I'll buy even more. I'll probably kick you something extra. All right, well, nigga, here's the time to do it. Kicking something extra. Kick by your fucking word. Don't be fucking phony now. I don't like that shit. Motherfucker get up preaching how real they are on fucking internet. You get to believe in them and then you find out they some fake fraud ass motherfuckers. Now, nigga, do your due diligence. I got a song right now in the description box. Guys, you may need to click the link 2 times, meaning I don't know what's wrong with it, but I think it has something to do with they're only really based off the web. Not they don't have a accommodation for the fucking the what's the name. So sometimes you may have to turn your thing to where it says desktop site, desktop version on your phone, or two, you can do this, and this works for everybody. Click the link 2 times. I mean, click it one time, it comes into the sign up list. X that out and then click it again. It'll take you right to it. All right. Including that sample I put up yesterday. That's why I put that up to show you guys that the link works. Okay. So make sure y'all do that. Yes, I'm selling my single for $10. Why? Because we put a lot of money and effort into recording. It was recorded at Daddy's house, recording studio with Flames, Flow, Far Flow, whoever you want to call him. Shout out to him, former BBE, Bad Boy Entertainment, record producer, produced the likes of Cardi B's first joint, the one you see with her getting in the beginning of the joint, and on the cover, and on Troy Ave's first project. So let's and Troy Ave's second project too as well, I believe. So let's give a shout out to Far Flow and the many other artists that he's worked with, including myself. So make sure y'all purchase my single, support that or whatever. If you don't want to donate, if you like to donate, it's $STRINGERBELL80. Stop acting like my information ain't needed. You capping. You capping yourself right now. Anyway, support this channel, bro. Anyway, long story short, pop culture also shows tenets of, it delves and hovers heavily on intelligence, and it hovers deeply on psychiatric evaluation of oneself internally, which is fucking dangerous as shit in my opinion. And so you're supposed to divulge all these problems you have within yourself, and you're supposed to cure them all yourself. And they call it self therapy, what people call it now, personal help, healing. They always add a terminology for it, but this shit goes all the way back to like the 1960s and shit. If you need some more interpretation of, just look up pop psychology, and also in the community section, I'll have two things that hopefully you guys will be find useful as far as like digging into it. But what you're seeing is a re-emergence of pop psychology in society, but now it's being heralded and vehicled by the fucking internet. Right? So you're seeing people on the internet now that are, some of them, unbeknownst to them, are using the tenets of pop psychology, and they're applying it to their daily tribes or whatever, without the popular opinion of their audience knowing that actually what's happening to them is they're actually being indulged and embraced and embracing pop psychology that has been here probably in your parents' time and in your grandparents' time. You understand what I'm saying? It's just made a new rehash. So to a lot of Black and Latin vloggers, what you're seeing right now, and make sure when you mention this shit, motherfucker, you mention my motherfucking name. Y'all bitch ass niggas gonna start fucking respecting my motherfucking name. You take a lot of my words, a lot of my discussions, and add them onto your podcast. I record about 10, 15 of you motherfuckers now. And stop fucking with me. I will stop playing around. Pop psychology has been here, and it's making a resurgence, and is now inflicted into the fucking internet. And you have kids and adults taking grasp and hold to the shit, and they're using it in their daily diatribes, and the shit is poisonous. It goes against mental health for one, because this is not consistent of mental health. No psychiatrist offers pop psychology as a solution. No psychiatrist offers pop psychology based solutions. None. Who offers them? Theory based motherfuckers, because that's what it is. It's a combatants of theories. You're combating theories, meaning traditional psychological and mental health tenets that are written down in DCM and things like that. What people are doing is they are finding ways, and this is what you find in modern times, they're finding ways to combat with that and argue with that. And the way they argue with that and they combat with that is by doing such right here, which is using pop psychology and saying you can have self-healing, you can have self-evaluation, you can have self-endurance, or whatever. Self. Narcissism. And that's what pop psychology, that's why it's written off by most psychiatrists, most people in any esteemed forms of society. They mock it off. But what they're having a problem with is now, and then what they've had with it two other times, including in the 60s and in the 80s, is that people embrace pop psychology, especially the younger people. And many of the older people too. Many of the older people revert back to the primitive for them, or reverse it back to the past. Let's say reverse it back to the past. And so what they do is they embrace it, they imbue it, and come ambiguous in it, and they love it. And they take pop psychology versus real psychology, and they roll with it. They use it in their diatribes, they use it in their uploads, they use it in every fashion and fence that they possibly can in their social and economic environments to benefit them. And whether that be manipulation using pop psychology, whether that be, because that's how a lot of people get around in the world nowadays, if y'all have been paying attention, they manipulate people and lie. I can't stand a liar. That's what I called that white boy out there. Don't you dare in your motherfucking life fucking insult my homie. You know, I ain't gonna say the homie, but don't insult a man I know and I watch him do the work and then lie and act like you the boss and you held over everything or somebody else do the work. I don't fucking know you. And this is what these people in pop psychology and believe in the tenets of it will do. They attack people that they don't know. They use judgment systems of their very own devise against other people. So they'll say, "Oh, well, I feel like this, and I feel people should be like this." Like Chris, first thing he said when he walked off from me. You guys just go down below. You'll understand what I'm talking about. The other video, I'll clip it and put it in here too. But so people see this on rebroadcast, go click that video. What he did was, he thought that I wanted to follow him. Chris thought he was somebody that somebody wanted to follow. Many of these people that exert themselves in pop culture think the same thing, that they're either introverts. A lot of the tenets of pop psychology say that you should be alone if people don't equate to you. Doesn't that sound familiar? A lot of things in pop psychology state that and I'm trying to remember all of it because there's so much to it. Um, you're better off alone being by yourself until you find somebody that matches you of your own ilk psychologically and financially. Sound familiar? What's another one? You're better off waiting out to even procreate if the person is not of the same ilk psychology. It's like it's so much shit to it, but each one of them has some type of opposite view or opposing view of traditional psychiatry. You understand what I'm saying? So pop psychology has now become a thing. Again, it's just not being introduced to you as pop psychology. It's being introduced to you by many different advocacies. And many of those advocacies that embrace pop psychology include feminism. I would definitely say a lot of the pro-black tenets that are in society right now definitely hold position with that. A lot of the Latino provisions and advocacies hold right with that and hold court with that. And definitely fucking the nucleus and genesis of all this bullshit. Definitely the nucleus and genesis of all this shit right here. It's white people participating in what? Pop psychology. So what I would tell you guys to do and ending this podcast right here is remember this. There's a lot of people that have grabbed onto the tenets of pop psychology. It's been here in the 60s, it was here in the 70s, it was back here in the 80s, it was here in the early 90s, and it's making a return. But this time the bitch went digital. So keep in mind, I want you to investigate pop psychology. I don't want none of you motherfuckers to get on here and try to do a follow up fucking broadcast and mention this shit. And I'm gonna be watching for you motherfuckers too. And let me tell you something. I know some of you motherfuckers, I got a normal fucking diatribe. I catch one of you motherfuckers using what I said right here today, I am gonna flag your bitch ass. Don't steal my fucking material. If you're gonna steal my fucking material, steal my thoughts, donate to the cash app. $ STRINGERBELL80. I hate when motherfuckers use. I got a history of that. Motherfuckers want to use my mind but don't want to pay nobody. You figure that out. Motherfuckers want to use your mind but don't want to pay nobody. And if you can't do that, go buy the single. Like I said, you might have to click the link 2 times. It's not meant for mobile. That's why you're having a problem when you click it and it goes somewhere else. You got to click it sometimes on the different devices. Apple, I don't think you have to do it. It's migrated with it, but click it. And if it goes to that one window, click out of that window and then click the same link again. It'll take you right there. It'll take it right there. It's not meant for mobile yet. They're early development. That's why I got with the company. You understand? I know what I'm talking about. Anybody that's been in the music industry, you know what I'm talking about too and why I did it. You know what I mean? Told you, one step ahead of you. I need y'all motherfuckers. If y'all really want to fucking give it to the fucking music industry than go over there and buy King Payne's single. When Jaguar Wright drop her next single, go buy her single, buy my single, even though it's $10. Nipsey Hussle was selling this mixtape for $100 and niggas bought it. If you want us to get away from this music industry and stop being dependent on these motherfuckers, then do your due diligence and stop acting like bitches and punks and little fucking snide fucking narcissists. Well, I don't want them to get rich. I don't want them to get no money. I just want me to get money. What can they do for me? That same mentality is going to drive you motherfuckers into the ground in the long run, because you're going to be a whole bunch of motherfuckers sitting back clutching onto your purses and your shoes and your sneakers, all that shit or whatever. This fucking motherfucker with an AK-47 rifle like this on you. You understand what I'm saying? All you fucking tough guys that run around, yeah, I'm the realest nigga in the street. Let's see what happens when the Klan show up. Where y'all niggas at when the Klan be marching through these cities regularly? Y'all seen these neo-9? I need one of y'all niggas be standing up on the roof. No shit. Like, where y'all at? Where y'all at? How come y'all niggas ain't busting at them niggas? These niggas, a neo-Nazi group marched through fucking Philly. And ain't one there. All them niggas down there shooting. Philly is one of the most vicious cities in fucking America right now. And you mean to tell me with all the shooters and the bang bang motherfuckers, ain't they one month? Them motherfuckers march through peacefully? If you walk through fucking Brooklyn nowadays or walk through the Bronx or whatever, you guaranteed at least 2, 3 niggas gonna motherfucking stare you up and down and be like, yo, what's up there, nigga? You know I got the thing on me. Meanwhile, a motherfucker can go through at 3 o'clock in the morning with their fucking dog jogging with fucking money hanging out their pocket. And if they white, want a motherfucker bother. Want a motherfucking bother. You got people jogging on fucking Grand Concourse at 3 o'clock in the morning in groups of white people. Don't nobody shoot at them. Don't nobody bother them. Don't nobody do fucking nothing to them. But a nigga walk through 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, oh, you got a problem. Y'all got to recenter y'all motherfucking attention. And if you think I'm going off key right here, what I mean is this. That was a white boy trying to check me, nigga. You ain't gonna check me, Brad. You the motherfucking help, bitch. I know what the help look like. I used to work at BMG. I walk in the building and see 15 motherfuckers that look just like you before I get to the floor I'm going to. So who the fuck are you talking about? And them niggas was sitting there making sure, oh, have a good afternoon, sir. That's what they used to say. Have a good day, sir. Have a good afternoon, sir. You ain't know what my fucking position was with the company. That's what them motherfuckers used to say when they were at the desk. Man, see ID? Or some people needed ID, some people didn't need ID to get in the building. I was one of the people out there, man, I ain't need no ID to get in the building. Everybody know who I am. Know what floor I'm going to. You understand what I'm saying? So I ran into 15, 20 Brads almost 20 years ago. I've lived around Brads. So I'm gonna put the video, the clip in, and I'm gonna put that in afterwards. Right now, you guys can go check that video. It's down below. It's the last video that I've recorded or whatever. You'll see Brad in action. I'll chop Brad's ass the fuck down because Brad, listen there, you're not the shit anymore, Brad. And this goes for the rest of the Brads out here. You're not the shit. And the truth is going to start coming out that more of you motherfucking white boys are unsuccessful than you are successful. You're good at acting roles. You're good at pretending. And when a lot of these women get with you finally, and they have this illusion or whatever, that life's going to be more successful with Brad. And what they fucking find out is life is worse with Brad. Brad's fucking broke. You understand? Don't fuck around, ladies, and get Kevin Featherlined.